Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and today I'm going to be driving this 306 GTI 6 and there is a reason for that. And the reason is right behind us. Recently I bought a 106 GTI, not 106 GTI, I bought a 106 Rally. I've wanted one forever. I love the way they look, they're so purposeful. I love the idea of a car with weight stripped out to make it better. But this particular 106 has got a full sort of stainless exhaust, it's got Bilstein V8s, it's got a few things that make it a less than ideal car as a daily, which was what it was supposed to be for. So I have decided that I am not going to carry on with that car. I am going to have to replace it with something else which is a bit more usable as a day-to-day car. And recently I tried a Honda Accord Type R, which is one of the sort of, well, it's the unknown Type R really, and one of my sort of subscribers suggested it as a possible replacement, as a usable daily that is still fun with the Vtec and everything. So I did a test on that just very recently, but there is another car which I always wanted and considered would be a good sort of car to try, and that is the GTI 6. So today I am driving this and I'm going to try and work out what my sort of preferred choice is and what's going to replace the little pug that we have behind us. I have to say, these GTI 6s are just so good. This is a nice example. It's got about 60,000 miles on the clock, but even just through that sort of set of corners, the way they handle is just unrivaled. The steering is great, everything works well, but it's the way the chassis handles bumps which is pretty much mind-boggling, and how neutral it feels. You can get the back end to come into play on these cars, which is quite rare on front-wheel drive cars. I remember when I was younger, one of my housemates had an XSI, I think it was, the lower powered version, and we used to go on that, and he used to get it sideways on all the roundabouts, on the brakes, and it's just the way you're going down the road, you see a load of bumps, you brace yourself, because it's like, oh God, it's going to hit everything, it's going to unsettle it, and these things just sort of like float over them. They are really unbelievable, and look, the steering is incredibly well judged, so the weighing is just right, the speed of the steering is just right, but most important of all, it is really communicative, and that is one area that stands out immediately where this is better than the Accord. Now there are many, I know it's a bit of a silly comparison, but there are many ways in which the Accord is better than this, but in terms of steering, which is quite an important aspect, this actually, to me, is leagues ahead. The Accord is supposed to have, by Honda standards, pretty good steering. Most of them are dreadful, like the S2000, but the Accord does have a little bit more feel. However, it can't hold a candle to this system here. There were three types of these sort of fast 306s. There was the XSI, there was, I think it was called the S16. The XSI, I think, had 125 horsepower, the S16, 150. And then latterly in its sort of production run, there was the GTI 6. The XSI was actually supposed to be better than the higher powered version, than the S16, mainly because it was the S16 had quite a rough engine, all the power was at the top. The XSI, yes, it was slower, but it was a bit torquier. When it came out though, the GTI 6 was ruled the king of all the hatches at the time. That is because not only did it retain the amazing chassis, which I think was pretty much unchanged, but it came with a 6-speed gearbox and a 2-litre engine that produced at the time a really heady 167 horsepower. All those figures now sound like nothing, but at the time they were absolutely sensational. There were many sports cars costing many times as much as one of these that still had 5-speed gearboxes. 6-speed was really unusual at the time, and a 2-litre naturally aspirated, putting out close to 170 horsepower in a little hatch, was just crazy. So we've been in a little bit of traffic now, so I'm just going to pull over, we'll turn around, we'll do a bit of a pull on it, get a feel for how quick it is, and also for the handling. Hopefully we'll get a clear run. The owner of this is actually ahead of me in the little 106. There is one very odd quirk with this Peugeot, and I'm just about to experience it. There is one thing about the GTI 6s, the 6-speed box means that it has less lock than it should on right-hand turns. Now, so it revs all the way to 7,000, which is pretty impressive, and it feels lovely. It's really, really zingy. The throttle response is instant. It continues to sort of keep pulling all the way through, but it's not gutless at lower revs, which is really nice and quite unexpected, frankly. It also doesn't sound too bad. You get a bit of intake noise. It's very smooth. So engine-wise, thumbs up. The gearbox, also the 6-speed, it's nice and light. It's easy. It's quite positive. I could do with a little bit more weighing maybe and slightly less travel, but it is good. And this is what I mean about these roads. It's so flowing, and it goes in the corner, then it loads up and it gives you even more feedback through the wheel. It is just fabulous. Honestly, this thing, it's incredible. It rides like a limo. It's just incredible, and it does lean a little bit, but in a controlled manner. And just going down this road, in any other car I've been in, it's very bumpy, as you can see. Anything else I've been in just goes all over the place, and you can feel it skipping, and so on this, you can't. The tyres are well and truly stuck down. It just flows with the road like the very best French hot hatches. It is an awesome, awesome thing. Brilliant cars, these, if I haven't said it enough. Really, really good. So, importantly, where does this bring me with the Accord? Well, I really haven't decided yet, because that is an incredibly impressive car. Let me just say, well, first of all, what do you think? What do you think I should get? But let me outline my thinking. Okay, the steering is massively superior in this, it really is, and although the Accord actually rides supremely well too, the chassis does feel a little bit better on this. It just handles even better than the Accord, which isn't a slight on the Accord, but to me it just feels like the front end is just a little bit better, it's more communicative, and the back end also comes into it a little bit, so it's a great thing. The engine, obviously the Accord's got a little bit more go, but it's got hardly anything low down, which is also, I have a bit of an issue thrashing engines the whole time. I just don't like it. So something like this that's a bit torquier could be better. Then there is something else. The Accord is so much better built than these. It's so much more of a quality item, because you sort of look at this and look at the interior. This is a really good one, and yet you sort of look around, and I know that the seats disintegrate, bits fall off, the plastic is really not very nice. So, you know, the Accord is much more practical, it's quicker, it's a lot of fun as well. The gearbox is probably slightly nicer actually on the Accord, but I don't know, I think I probably had more fun with this overall, and it might be a bit more of a better daily, just because it doesn't need to be thrashed the whole time, which it's a thing about mechanical sympathy I just find really difficult. But I don't know, I've always wanted one of those Accords, and I really like it. I like the interior, I like the way they look, and I don't know, it's going to be a tough choice. But and also I think that the other thing I really like about the Accord is that it is just an undiscovered R. People just don't know about them. They don't know what they are. They don't appreciate them. So it is a little gem in that way. But yeah, tell me what you think I should do. And I will put the link to the Accord video just now so that you can have a look and see what I thought of that as well. And I really look forward to seeing you for the next one. If you need to contact me, then Instagram is the best way. If you have a car that you'd like me to review, get in touch through Instagram, and look forward to seeing you soon.